highly skilled CBSE resource person and student-focused educational leader possessing a strong commitment to the development of students, staff, and providing a stimulating, safe, and motivating learning environment. The Great Mentors warmly welcomes Ms. Surika Saini, Principal, Saraswati International School, Valsad. She loves motivating her team to attain their incomparable and outstanding potential. Accomplished professional educator and school principal with a passion for academic and student development in developing effective strategies to overreach curriculum goals. Ms. Surika demonstrated leadership skills with the ability to capitalize on emerging instructional technologies to enrich lesson plans and instruction. Her strengths include developing creative curricula, observing and evaluating teachers, planning lessons and creating favorable learning environments for students and teachers. Her core competencies include, as a CBSE resource person, conducted various workshops for teachers on the topics such as innovating methods in teaching science, experiential learning. Ms. Surika is highly skilled at motivating students through positive encouragement and reinforcement of concepts through interactive classroom instruction and observation. Ms. Surika truly believes that if one wants to bring change in the society or on a wider scale in the country, then surely one should become a teacher. As a teacher, we can mold new generation into right direction and can definitely reach to great heights.
Hello friends, highly skilled CBSE resource person and student-focused educational leader possessing a strong commitment to the development of students, staff, and providing a stimulating, safe, and motivating learning environment. She loves motivating her team to attain their incomparable and outstanding potential. Accomplished professional educator and school principal with a passion for academic and student development in developing effective strategies to overreach curriculum goals. On behalf of the Great Mentors, me, Sushil Sinha, warmly welcome Ms. Surika Saini ma'am for today's talk show session. Thanks ma'am for being with us and giving your valuable time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sushil ji, for giving me this opportunity to come on this platform and share my views.
Thanks, ma'am. First, we would like to know your professional journey up to this point.
Yeah, my professional journey, when I look back upon it, I see that I always wanted to be a teacher. So we all know about the teacher game. So I was a big fan of that game and I used to play a lot for many years. Till I was grown up, like 7th standard also, I used to play. I used to drape one dupatta or mama's dupatta and chunni, and I used to create that environment of the class. And then I used to teach. So my mama was quite sure that she's going to become a teacher. So then after 10th standard, I started taking tuitions in my grade 11 only. So that passion had come there only. And when I started teaching, so from my grade 11, I used to teach. Then I did my BSc. Then I completed my B.Ed. Before doing my B.Ed, I joined school, state board school. That is St. Aloysius High School. That is in Nalasopara, Ryan Group. And there I was maths and science teacher. Then 3 years I was working there. Then later, of course, B.Ed was compulsory. And when I was into teaching, I thought, why is B.Ed compulsory? I have learned everything because colleagues were there to teach, students were there to teach, principal was there to teach, many things were there to teach. But then B.Ed is very much necessary. So I enrolled myself to B.Ed. And when I was doing B.Ed, that time I realized that why B.Ed is important. Because many things are there when systematic learning comes. That time B.Ed is very important. So I could connect why B.Ed is important. I did my B.Ed, then I again joined, Dalmia School. And that was an ICSE school. And there I thought that when I learned B.Ed, I found myself to be different, better. Then I thought I should do MA in education. Because if bachelor is giving me this, why not masters? So I did masters in MA in education. And then after 3 years of that, I joined a CBSE school because I had an experience of state board. I had got an experience of ICSE. Now I wanted an experience of CBSE. So I joined residential school, and of course residential school also, because in the movies and all, we used to see those residential movies and how teachers work. So I wanted to, something was there that I should join a residential school. So I joined a residential school. There I found the need, to have, to know more about counseling. So I enrolled myself in MA in psychology. And that helped me a lot to understand the kids. Because we only think about ourselves and we think like, ki nahi padta. And in residential, like you are mother, you are teacher, you are everything to the child. You are a doctor, you are a nurse, you are everything to the child. So he eats with you, he talks to you, he can share everything. You see him sleeping, you see him in pajamas, you can see him in uniform, you can see him in sports dress, you see him on all the attire. So you know how he is growing, and that is the reason I thought we should know our counseling. And really, counseling helps a lot. It makes us feel, we understand the child. So I did ME in psychology. And then I joined, I relocated myself to Saraswati International School as a head coordinator for pre-primary to 12th standard. And now I'm the principal of the same school, Saraswati International School, Valsad. So this is what my journey is.
Great. Starting from the very basic platform. And right now you are one of the, in education industry, that is called as one of the top job. Handling so much students in influential way, affluent way, that's really a great job.
And I'm blessed that I'm a teacher, and whatever I wanted to become, I became as a teacher. And then I evolved. And now wherever I am, I'm really feeling blessed that I am into the education industry.
You have chosen this profession by choice, not by force.
That's by choice. I always wanted to become a teacher, not a doctor. My mother, she wanted me to become a doctor because she saw my passion. So she said she's a very sincere girl. So if she study, she can do this also, because I was very hardworking. I can sit for a long time and do my things right now also. So seeing that passion, she used to feel that she can become a doctor also. Though she is very happy when I became a teacher, but she was sure that I am going to become a teacher. 110% she was sure. So she was the person who told me that you can start taking tuitions. You can go for this, without B.Ed only. She was the person who told me, why don't you go for teaching? Go and just apply for this job because you do well. Your tuition, the number of students increasing and the way you teach. So she was really the person who, pushed me also. She motivated me in whatever I wanted to pursue. So I thank her also, my parents.
Great. Very few parents are there, or in society, very few people are there who motivates the youth to opt education as a profession. If a student is passionate about something, they always motivate to go for the professional courses. Like they suggest for to opt for engineering, opt for medical, opt for MBA, and whatever be the other professions, government job. But I never saw that someone is promoting someone, motivating someone that, okay, education is also an opportunity, go for that. Most of the teachers in this industry, they do not come by choice. They come because they don't get any other option, so they used to come. It's a different thing if you started getting money and if you started getting love from the students, affection from the students, they start loving this profession. This is the problem.
So I'm really thankful to my parents who motivated my dad, my mom, both.
Really great. It is their greatness.
Yes.
We have already noticed that you conduct workshops on experiential learning, right? Can you elaborate on this part, please?
Yes. Actually, I'm a CBSE resource person, so I take sessions on innovative methods of teaching science. Parallel to that, I have also taken workshops on experiential learning. As we all know that when we talk that we all know this is a famous preposition, that we learn from our experiences. So experiential learning is nothing but learning from our own experiences. So whatever experience we have, now it's like experience is what the child, here the learner is doing. The learner is learning from his experience. Now, of course, in a safe this environment. And a famous quote in B.Ed also we have studied, and nowadays it is too much into the trend that if I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, and if I do, I understand. So this is a famous quote, and we all teachers nowadays, we have moved, actually we have taken this long back, the transition from traditional teaching to new methods of teaching. So as experiential learning, and as I told you, when I was in my childhood, so I used to become a teacher. So I still remember I had that mirror, a rectangular medium-sized mirror with a wooden that frame, and I used to create an environment. I used to teach that this is a rectangle, children. The fictional class, no child is there, but this is a rectangle. See, we'll measure the length, we'll measure the breadth, and we'll find the area, we'll find the perimeter. So this is how I used to learn. Then I used to find out the other objects also. And I don't know, every time I used to find it was rectangle only. The cassette we had that time. So cassette was rectangle. Anything, the radio was there, that was also rectangle. Then I thought, I got, bored with those rectangles. I said, why every time rectangles? Then I went to some other patterns. Then I saw that, okay, cup, saucer, or something, or the circles, that I had a clock, wall clock. Then I started. So I saw that I got bored from one shape. Then I went to another shape. So somewhere I connect myself that experiential learning was done when I was small, when I was becoming teacher. So I still remember what I used to do and how I used to calculate the perimeter. And every time I used to see only rectangular objects. Then I got bored up. Where are the other objects? So I started finding. So this is how, what I feel is experiential learning is some kind of, the learning from experiences, and we evolve. We start thinking, critical thinking. Even I remember my teachers used to tell us that you talk to plants, plants will grow very well. And I had a money plant, tulsi plant, aloe vera. So when I am talking to them, I thought, why not teach? So I started teaching there also. Nobody is there, but I used to teach myself only. Some imaginary class I had. I used to say, see, the sunlight is there. See, photosynthesis. Photo means light, synthesis means preparation. So this is how I started, experiential learning. So right now also, when I go in the classroom, I ask students that tell me which are the objects. Obviously, students will first find rectangular only. Book, compass, blackboard, and I just connect to myself. Then I said, no other shapes you all have. Then they start going for those, the cylindrical shapes, bottles, and all those things. So experiential learning plays a very important role by learning. And this is what, when we do it, we remember it. This is my personal experience, because I have remembered many of the things because I was doing it in my childhood. So we learn it from our experiences. So I feel that experiential learning plays a very important role. And when I take CBSE workshops, so I actually go to learn. And I remember many things, like many of the workshops, few workshops I learned amoeba with a clay you can make and you can show the child. Many things which it did not click to me, but there I learned, and I write it in my diary so that someday I can use it in the classroom when I go in the class, or I can at least give ideas to other teachers when they want to take a class. So experiential learning really plays a very important role. The name itself says learning from experience.
Was there any effect in the growth of plants?
Money plant is to grow very nicely. And
Okay.
it's a creeper, no? So it was going very good. And I used to see the way the parents put it. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, right now also that notion is there. Still, I feel, I should talk to my plants. They'll grow. Maybe that was sensitive. They wanted to make, sensitive towards our environment. I should research on this, yeah.
Right. What is the experiential learning is important for the students or for the teachers?
When I say experiential learning, it's always learning by doing. So here, actually, it is learner-centered, student-centered. Student is active and teacher is inactive. She is allowing the child to explore. She is allowing the child to do it. Like I said, my example is one shape, then I went to another shape. So which shapes I can see. So this is how we get evolved. We start thinking, why only one? Why not this? Like many times in the classroom, I see when we say connect the circuit with one cell. There are many students who will say, what if we connect 3 cells? There are many who will say, what we connect 5 cells? So this is how their active participation comes. So that active learning is there where they are learning, they are questioning themselves, they are verifying it. So critical thinking is there, problem solving is there. They try to find proper solutions to those problems. They take each other's cells and they start, and what if positive negative is not together? What if positive positive, no circuit will work? Why it will not work? So these are the few things which they do in the classroom, they learn. So active participation is there because they are doing it. And it accelerates learning also. Like, learning becomes very effective because the graph you will see, because there the child is very happy. The classroom is active, the classroom is making noise, they're thinking, they're discussing, and they'll remember it. So and it is lifelong, means they can remember it, longer retention. When they do it, they don't have to ratify any answers, they don't have to mug it up. So they will remember it. And when I always tell my kids that when you grow up and you become a father or you become a mother, you can teach your child, and you can ask him questions from the syllabus. Tell me this. Anyway, they will think how he knows the question and how he knows the answer, because he has not seen the textbooks. So you will remember it lifelong, these concepts. And then you can teach much better way with much easier examples than what you have learned it right now. So even they, they feel very happy classrooms. And learning also becomes very easy. It is not like aaj hum ye sikhayenge, I'm going to teach you. When we say we are going to teach, so it's like passive. Roz hi pad rahe hain, subah first period se hi pad rahe hain. So it is like they have that barrier. But we say, come on, today we'll do this. So when we say we do this, we are taking their inputs. And nowadays generation wants their inputs to be taken. What they want to do, what they want to know. So that way the classroom is actually becoming very active, happy, and not like just lecture method. And even, we also get to learn a lot. Like, for example, in the classrooms, if I give many of the times 3 graphs, and I say this one is graph is straight line, one is this, and one is this, just read what you can understand from it. So I have got the answer that this is straight, no, the nothing is happening. And I say, okay, what is this? Yes, something is. I say, what about car? They'll say that yes, the speed is increasing. Yes, speed is not increasing, it's going up and down. And the third one, they'll say this at parking. I say, how it is? You know that it is at parking. I never said, because there I'm not using the word body is at rest. So then they tell me, ma'am, we have seen in the movies, no, that heart, when it stops, it is in the straight line. So see how they connect the things. So it just clicks to me, wow, see where he connected within that 3-4 minutes, how it strikes them. So, and even then they will say, I said, no, this motion, where have you seen? Then they will say, we have seen in the cricket, that run rates. So we say, oh, see how they connect the things. So actually they connect the things to the real life experiences. And we come to know what we don't think, they think it. We go with the notion, okay, uniform motion, a non-uniform motion, a body at rest. We use those terms, but real life experiences, they can connect it very easily. So this is how it is quite important in day-to-day teaching.
It is part of involvement of students, right? In experience.
Yes.
More and more they involve, more they will learn.
Yes.
And of course, their thinking process will enhance further.
Yes, yes.
What are the challenges in this experiential learning?
Yes, the challenges when if I ask teachers to do it, or even there is first is time boundation. We tell that this is a syllabus, this much should be completed, so many assessments should be taken, projects to be taken. So the teachers feel kya kya karna hai, bahut kuch karna hai. So it becomes very difficult for them to do it. So these are the challenges. That is, one is time frame. The second one is the syllabus completion, and sometimes the setup also. So what I suggest here is these challenges we can easily do it is by including them in the lesson plans. And not every lesson we cannot go with that. Even the child will feel this monotonous teaching. Sometimes they will feel too much of engaging in that. You do anything in extreme, if you do anything extra too much, is not going to be that fruitful. So it's not good. So we cannot, every situation we cannot take it, but few topics where we feel that yes, here we can do it, we can implement that experiential learning into our lesson plans. And within that time frame, we can easily complete it. We can give the task to the child, which we feel that this chapter is so important, this topic is so important, that in future also these topics he should know it. Right now, when we go for this online learning, we have seen that if I take acid and bases, I tell them that you have acids at your place. Just try to find it out. So they try to find Nimbu, and I say, see, chemistry is there in the morning only. When you get up, you take warm water, so H2O. Then if you add lemon, then there is citric acid. If you are having only, you say, कि नहीं मैं कुछ खाऊंगा ही नहीं, लूंगा ही नहीं anything of chemistry, then you'll go for salads. Then again there is tomato oxalic acid. So we are there everywhere. Chemistry is there everywhere to make my subject interesting. But then equally, I say all the subjects are actually very important. So if you start this way your day, so they think, I say bases are there at your place. Try to find it out. Then they give us the list. So these are the few things which you do it in the classroom and your experiential learning where the child is learning. He's trying to find it out. And even he feels, yes, मैंने base देखा है. You know, he knows that मैंने acid देखा है. मैंने acid ये किया है. मेरे पास ये weak acids है. So these are the challenges which we have it, but we can try to minimize these challenges by just integrating it into the lesson plans. So the gap between the theory and the practical won't be
there. Right. In fact, a part of STEM, what CBSE is promoting right now, it's the involvement of students in scientific way. Means in daily life, whatever they are using. And I think CBSE is also giving kind of training to the teachers in the school. Whatever the things are being done by the students, they must go in a practical way. They must feel it.
Yes.
Right. And in fact, we are also conducting a panel discussion on STEM. It consists of 10 series. 3 has been done already. 4 generally we do conduct on Saturday, but this Saturday, because of 25th of holiday, teachers are busy, principals are busy somewhere, means they are enjoying their personal life. So we are not conducting this Saturday. Hopefully it may be possible on Sunday. Otherwise on coming Saturday, we will also conduct it.
Once I attended also, if you remember, there were 3 panelists and I attended. There was some storm also. Still, I attended the whole.
Yes.
I wanted to know more about it.
Yes. So right now we are also planning to involve teachers in that, because we have prepared 10 good points. All these STEM has been divided in 10 points, and on each Saturday we used to cover 1 point, right? 1 topic, and in each topic we used to prepare more than 10 questions. Whatever be the pin points there, whatever be the conceptual points are there, we used to pick those points, and discussions are going on those points. Mm-hmm. So of course, teachers who are not really aware about these things, they will be getting benefited out of this.
Okay, good, nice, great.
Yes, ma'am. So of course, you talked about experiential learning, which is very much important nowadays, because the new century, it's entirely a different. What you learn, that is very much important.
Yes.
And and how much you are involved in learning process, it is equally important. Yes. So thank you so much to you that you have involved in such a great point, and in such a...
Because I said, no, I have been, monitored like this, or I am been processed like this myself fully from experiential learning. Maybe that is the reason, now I connect both the things together. That is the reason more of experiential learning I include in my classroom, because I learned that way. So I feel many of the learners can be kind of like me.
Yes. And for one thing, I'm pretty sure all of the students who are enrolled in your school, they will be getting benefited if a plant can learn. So they are living things. They will be benefited a lot.
Yes.
It's for sure.
And mostly, we can make our classrooms also like that, games. Many times, many things, it comes in the classroom. Mm-hmm. We don't get ideas sitting in this 4 walls in the cabin. I never get an idea. Mm-hmm. I go in the classroom and looking to the energy of the children, I get an idea. And then we say, okay, we'll play a game. And then we start, and I don't know what I planned the game, but the execution becomes so good. And that time I think that whatever game I just, designed on by my own, whether it was working or not, that best thing can be done in the classroom. when they are very happy at the end of the day, we come to, at the end of the lecture, we come to know, yes, this is working now. Next class or next year also, I can use the same method, and that becomes very easy for us. So I have played many games with the kids, and I talk, and I have seen that when we are in the classroom and we talk that my guests were going to come, I did this, some incident we start sharing. They are very much interested to know about our life. Correct. So they start showing interest, and they later doing everything. Then when we tell, like I teach physical change, chemical change, I say I have a guest at home, they don't want ice water, I gave them ice water, then I went back, then what should I do? Should I throw water? Throwing water is good, or no, you can put it in the ice tray. Okay, the other day, one more same guest wanted to come, and then I wanted to prepare dahi vada, and I said I wanted to cut dahi. Then I tell them that, see, I know how to prepare dahi. If I'm wrong, just let me know. Then I tell them the process. And then the other day, I said the same guest said no. See, the guest, those guests are really not making me happy. And then what to do? Can I bring my dahi back to milk? Then they will say, no, that is not possible. So then we'll say physical change, chemical change. And this is how it is done. And then they start smiling. They start thinking that really this has happened with her. Really this is, and really she knows how to make a curd. So they want to know. And when we talk about our incidents, real life incidents, they feel, okay, there is some incident that is happening. So we need to create that story, that environment, that, to create, to get interest from the children. If we say simply, they will not, if I say some story, some weaved story, and then they get interest. And by the end of this, you can say that this was just a fictional. I had no such guest. So they start laughing, and then they start, this is what, man. So
actually, it's a part of STEM. You are already applying this knowingly or unknowingly, but actually, it's a part of STEM.
Yes, in physics also, when I teach that uniform motion, non-uniform motion, then I said drive the car 60 kilometer, and then there was this curves or this was there, speed, speed breakers and all. Then I tell everything, then I make them understand. At the end of the day, end of the lecture, they're very happy. And then I say, okay, I wanted to tell you one so important thing. They'll say, yes, I don't know how to drive a car, and I don't know how to ride a bicycle also. Then they say, oh God, she said so many stories, and now she doesn't know this. But they are very happy to know that, okay, she doesn't know how to ride a bicycle. Okay, they know one secret of mine, my personal thing, and they're very happy. But at the same time, the class was very interactive. And some, right, some smile on their faces. And with me also, like, okay, they're very happy to know something about me.
Great, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time, being with us. And hopefully in coming time, we will also again be associating with other kind of things. And your students, definitely they will enjoy your class and your leadership their side a lot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sinha, for giving me such nice platform to share my views. And we can talk, teachers and principals can talk and talk and talk. So thank you for giving me such beautiful, good platform.
Thank a lot, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.